The unsurpassed, penetrating and perfect truth is seldom met with, even in 100,000 myriad kalpas. Now we can see and hear it, we can remember and accept it. I vow to make the Buddha's truth one with myself. Homage to the Buddha, homage to the Dharma, homage to the Sangha. Today I'd like to talk about the power of intention. Well, when we look at our world, I keep starting this way, when we look at our world and we read the news and we look around and we see all the problems, it can be pretty dismaying, to say the least. There's war, there's poverty, there's violence, climate change, all these awful things. And it all seems overwhelming. And it seems as though it's getting worse. You know, we look at the news because we're all connected, so we can see what everybody else is doing. It seems worse, but maybe it doesn't really, it just seems worse. And we, of course, have our own problems too to add to all that. We all have our stuff, our difficulties. And sometimes they seem to be overwhelming also. So what do? We might, we tend to fall into despair sometimes, maybe thinking, well, this is hopeless, it's much too much, there's so much hatred, so much misery, and inequality, and all that. It seems like there's nothing we can do about it, sometimes. So huge. What good can my little effort do in the face of all this? Well, we have the power of intention. The power of our intention to do our best. Our wish for the good. And this is not to be underestimated. We just had a ceremony in which we offered merit for all kinds of beings, all those who are suffering and in need of merit. The ones we know, the ones we don't know. And we invoked the power of compassion, Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion, that power of compassion to help all those beings in need. And to help us too, because we're also in need sometimes. Not just for everybody else, it's for us too. And this wish, this invoking of compassion, isn't just wishful thinking. Oh, it would be nice if, there was compassion there for all these people. It would be nice, The offering of merit really does help beings. People who are ill or bereaved, often will tell us, I really felt that merit. We hear this all the time. They feel the merit that's offered. It helps them through that difficulty. It's amazing. You'd think, oh, there's just a nice thought going out there, but there's power in that nice, or that kind thought, that benevolent thought, that wish for the good. It has strength, and you can feel it. Sometimes when you're offering the merit, you feel it going out there. A wish for the good of the world, whether we're in a ceremony doing it all together, or whether we're doing it on our own, just at home, offering merit for somebody, offering merit for the world, offering merit for the people who are fighting, or the people who are dying, or whatever it might be. That offering of merit, that strong wish for the good, has strength, and it makes a difference. When we're offering merit, we're not asking for some particular outcome. We're not wanting something. Maybe this person, such and such. Sometimes we do, but often, generally it tends to be an open-ended thing. We're just wishing for the good for that person, however that may be. We don't necessarily know what's best for that person. The person who is ill, they might die. Maybe it's time for them to die. But maybe they can die in peace and not be holding on to feelings of regret or resentment or whatever else might get in their way. Maybe they can be at peace. And that's just fine. There's nothing wrong with dying. We're all going to have to do it sometime, so But if people can be at peace, whether they're fighting, whether they're dying, whether they're sick, whether they're bereaved, just to find peace of heart, I think is what everybody really wishes for, fundamentally. And we can offer the merit for that. And it helps if the person is open to the offering of merit. If people are just kind of hard and set in their ways, I'm going to do this and I don't want to hear anything about anybody else, we still offer merit, and I think it still helps. But there's something about being open to the offering of merit. When somebody knows we're offering merit for them, they're more likely to feel it. They kind of let it in somehow. I think it makes a difference. If they're all closed off, I don't need help, I don't need any merit, or I'm beyond aid, or I'm not worth merit, that's another thing. Nobody would want to help me. Then it's harder for people to accept that. Our power of intention. Climate change, for instance. We're worried about climate change. Many of us do. We can feel helpless in the face of this seeming indifference and heedlessness of our world, thinking, well, what good is my little recycling a plastic bag going to do with this huge corporations doing awful things? Well, we can do something. We can do our part. We can do our best. When we recycle our little plastic bag, rather than just throwing it away, thinking, well, who cares, it doesn't make any difference, we're making an effort. We're making a little blow for the good, as it were, something to benefit. We don't have to be thinking, I am saving the world with my plastic bag. But we don't have to be on a crusade. But we can just make our offering, do our best because it's good to do. Making our little offer of one little plastic bag or one little foil whatnot or whatever it is. We don't have to make judgments about people who don't recycle, throw away their food, but we can do our best. And as I said, it doesn't have to be a crusade. We don't have to feel, I am virtuous and I am recycling, not like those people who don't recycle, But we're just making our little best effort. And this is an example of one of the ways that we can just make our effort for the good and trust that intention to the good makes a difference. Not just our little piece of foil or whatever, but that intention, the power of that intention to the good, it does make a difference. And it saves us from despair, from thinking, well, it's all hopeless, why bother, No, we do our best. Each of us can do our best. And between us, we make a difference. That intention, that wish for the good, has a lot of strength to it. When we rescue a little insect from being trodden on the cloister or on the path, even if we don't like that kind of insect, we just pick it up and put it aside so nobody treads on it. We're practicing kindness, just that little kind act. And it's helpful to do it with a kind feeling rather than revulsion, but to do it kindly. Bless the little beast on its way, and put it in a safe place. There's a kindness there, and it's not to be sniffed at, it's not to be underestimated. These little acts that we do to practice kindness for beings. The small things, taking a little time with somebody. I say this all the time. Taking a few minutes to say hello to somebody who may be lonely or in need of a chat. Somebody wants to talk to us about something, not to be in too much of a hurry and rushing off. To take a few minutes. Take time. We don't, what's important? What's really important? Is it more important that we get to our thingy on time, or to take time with this person and to help them feel that connection, that we are all connected? Much more important, I think. Precepts, trying to keep to the precepts, even in little ways, like saving that little insect rather than letting it get trodden on, or just thinking a thought of kindness rather than a thought of judgment about somebody. Those little ways in which we try to keep to the precepts, they all have great power, actually, because of our intention to do what's best, our intention to live truly, to help beings, to help ourselves. And even in small ways, that power of our intention to the good, our wish for the good, for beings, including ourselves. The Avatamsaka, a huge scripture. I think it's the biggest Mahayana scripture. I didn't bring the tome. I didn't want to intimidate anybody. But There's a chapter in there called Purifying Practice. In this practice, somebody asks, how do we purify our thoughts and words and deeds? How do we do our best for beings? And the response is, how to purify our actions, thoughts, our words and thoughts, it describes many ways of wishing beings well as we go about our daily life. There must be 100 verses about this, about how when you're doing this, you do that, and when you do that. Here's just a few of them. When climbing upstairs, we should wish that all beings ascend the tower of truth and see through everything. If we see a bridge, we should wish that all beings carry everyone across to freedom like a bridge. When washing our body, we should wish that all beings be undefiled in body and mind, radiantly pure inside and out. When going to sleep at night, we should wish that all beings attain physical ease and undisturbed minds. Well, those are just a few of them. As I said, there's about probably 100 of these verses, and you couldn't actually do all of it all the time because it would be very hard to do. But the intention is that we keep coming back to offering blessings to beings, whatever we're doing, walking upstairs, going out, walking along a road, going to sleep at night, waking up in the morning, all these different things, eating a meal, all these different ways of offering blessings to beings, not just thinking about me, but to train our mind, to purify our intention, to deal with our selfishness, our self-partiality, to make everything we do an offering to all beings. Well, here at the Abbey, we practice some of these. You see these little verses in the bathroom and so forth. When you clean our teeth, when you take a shower, when you go to the toilet, they have these verses. Not just the same, not all the same verses as the Avatamsaka ones, but the intention is the same. I take the toothbrush that all living things may profit. We might think, well, why on earth would my cleaning my teeth bring profit to all living things, really? Who would care, apart from me and the people who live with me and might fall over if I didn't brush my teeth? Well, it's the intention, that intention that we do this little act, this little mundane act, cleaning our teeth, paying attention, offering merit for beings. I'm doing my training. I'm doing my best I can. I'm doing the thing that needs to be done, just this little tooth cleaning that I do every day. This is my purifying of my intention, the intention that beings be benefited by my doing my training, and my having that wish for the benefit of all beings. And in all these many ways, to think that to wish the benefit of the beings. Well, we can't do this all the time. We can't spend all our time wishing, benefit for beings because we'd never get anything done. But we can have that. We can come back to that. To help beings as the situation comes our way, as I say, as we have an opportunity to just practice a little kindness to somebody, to relinquish our selfishness, our self-concern, to practice compassion, to remember that we're all connected intimately with everybody else in this world. What we do does make a difference to us and to other beings. It does make a difference to beings that I clean my teeth and I have that wish for the good of beings. And the way we do it makes a difference. Moving that little bug with kindness and gentleness rather than just pushing it out of our way because we don't want to get our shoes covered in bug goo, It's not the same thing. These small acts of kindness and generosity, I said, taking time with somebody, relinquishing negative thoughts, training the mind, especially, training our mind to relinquish criticism of others or criticism of ourselves. Those negative thoughts, despair, despondency, looking down, nothing's going to work, everything is awful. We do our best, to look up and practice brightness of heart as best we can, even when it's having a difficult time. Not to dwell on our envy or irritation or resentment or criticism or whatever, but to cultivate a habit of thinking generously of people, thinking the best of them. If somebody is crabby, there's probably a reason. I don't need to know what it is, But I don't have to get crabby too. I can just think, person's crabby, having a difficult time, I'm sorry, but I don't have to be, making a story out of it, just over the merit maybe. Seeing people's good qualities, not just their faults. Remembering that they are all intimately connected. We're all together, all one body, part of one body. None of us separate in any way. And when we remember that we're all part of one body, we're all connected, this is coming closer to seeing things as they really are. Whether we see it for ourselves wholeheartedly or not, but to come back to that, to remember, we're all part of one being. I don't have to be fundamentally afraid of everybody else, thinking, here I am over here, there's everybody else out there. When we think we're separate from everybody else, all alone and apart, this is suffering. Whether we live alone or with other people, it's the mind that creates that feeling of separation. It can be hard if we're alone in the midst of a crowd of strangers, or living alone in a big city, You can feel very separate and alone. Here's everybody else rushing around doing their, living their lives, and we imagine everybody else is happy and they've all got lots of friends and they're all doing fine, and here I am just by myself and nobody cares if I live or die, I get hit by a bus. But actually we can also see it the other way. We can see here we all are, we're all pretty much alike. These other beings are not that different from me. We're all somewhat the same. We all have problems that are somewhat similar. I can feel myself a part of them, rather than apart from them. To be part of that body of humans. We have to do that deliberately, to cultivate it deliberately, because it's so easy to cut ourselves off out of fear. I don't know these people, or you may have had experience of being treated badly. You may be having a difficult time. But even so, to try to cultivate that feeling of we're not actually different, we're not actually separate. People just think they are. And we can work on that intention of seeing ourselves as part of everybody else, them all as part of me. We're all part of that one body. We have a choice. When we're feeling poorly, we're feeling wretched, we're having a hard time, or we're not being treated well, we can choose whether to focus on ourselves and our suffering and our real treatment, or to let go of that. Or to say, well, somebody treated me poorly. They may not be feeling too happy today. When you're happy, you don't treat people poorly. You're nice to them. When you feel rotten, you're liable to treat somebody else poorly. So, okay, somebody's treated me poorly. May I offer merit and not just be resentful. But it can be hard. It's like you're struggling uphill sometimes. But it's not impossible. That power of intention to the good, to keep to the precepts, to think well of beings as best we can. This isn't just pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's just seeing things as they are in one way, but the way they truly are is much deeper than, yes, this person doesn't like me, or I've been treated poorly, or I'm afraid of somebody. Maybe have reason to be afraid, but yet more deeply there's something that connects us all. To remember that. And when we do have intense suffering or some overwhelming problem, to just try to bear in mind, this probably won't last forever. It will pass. Everything, passes away. Nothing lasts forever. Everything changes. Impermanence can work in our favor. Our power of intention, our intention to do our best in this life, to live our life in the best way we can, to keep to the precepts as best we can, without not trying to be a perfect person, but just trying to do our best. There's a difference. Trying to be something, trying to be a perfect person is being a self trying to be perfect. But just trying to do our best, we're doing something. It's not the same thing. Trying to be something is a me trying to be something. Trying to do something, there doesn't have to be a self in that. We can just simply try to do the best we can. The next best thing. Cleaning my teeth in the morning, okay. Whatever it might be, just doing it. When we're cleaning our teeth, we're just cleaning our teeth. We're not being a tooth-cleaning self, generally. Ridiculous. Just doing what needs to be done in these little mundane ways. Doing our best to live our life well. So Winston Churchill, in his old age, I've told this story before, but I love it. He went to a boys' school. He'd been asked to give a talk at a boys' school. I think they were graduating or something. And he gets up there and he says, "Boys, never give up." That was the end of it. I'm sure they didn't forget it, Those boys would remember that their whole life. You didn't have to say any more. Just never give up. And with our cultivating a pure intention, the intention to do our best, the intention to be part of our world in a positive way, never to give up on our world, never to give up on each other, never to give up on ourselves, to see our own pure aspiration, our own intention to do our best, not just thinking, well, everybody else is doing their best, but I'm a real mess, Well, we're a mess with a purpose, as a wise person once said. And that's okay. Just that we do our best. Not trying to be somebody, just trying to do the best we can in all the conditions of our lives. Never to underestimate the power of intention. And that's our talk for the day.